The Coonhound Collective podcast is brought to you by Conkeys Outdoors, because we support the people who support our way of life, and CZ Welding and Fabrication, custom dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Check these guys out today. This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective podcast.
He said, let's go to work. We got to get your dogs back in these dog kennels. I mean, there's just no better people than a coon hunter. There really ain't.
Welcome to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Brett Denny of Georgia, and he's going to be joining us via telephone, so stand by. Thank you for joining us today on the Coonhound Collective podcast. Today I have Mr. Brett Denny on the phone. Brett, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Oh man, I can't complain. Like I said, it's a rainy day here in Missouri and can't cut no grass today, so was able to hook up with you and get this done, and I really appreciate you taking your time to do this with me today. Why don't you go ahead and tell the folks a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how did you get into coon hunting?
38 years old. I've lived in Albany, Georgia most of my life. Grew up in Leesburg, which is about 15 miles north of there. Played football and baseball my whole life, just been competitive. I moved to Shelburne, Georgia, which is about 25 miles due east, I would say, 9 years ago. Got an 8-year-old daughter. My wife, Christy Denny, she works for PKC. Just started coon hunting probably 94, I would say. I think that's when I started. My dad was a fireman, and one of his co-workers was a big-time coon hunter. Really didn't hunt many competitions, just pleasure hunted. Ricky Marshall from Sassford, Georgia. We went hunting on a Friday night. We treated a couple coons, and I was hooked. I mean, from then on, it was gun-ho. That's all I wanted to do. I almost quit baseball and football because of coon hunting. I'd say a few weeks after that, I got my first dog. He wasn't no count. Trained on that thing, but there wasn't much hope for him. He had the looks. That's about it. I grew up right here where the Winter Classic was for years and always guided. You know, since from 94 on, we guided, cast, and Ricky would hunt a little bit in some hunts. And then probably about, I'd say a year after we started hunting, Ricky's dog got out, he got lost hunting one night. And the Humane Society ended up killing it with a bloody discharge. And that kind of pushed Ricky over the edge where he didn't want to hunt. And he called Daddy and told him, he said, hey, I've got this other dog here. Why don't you and Brett come get it and take it? He'll be a little bit better for you. So by this time, I had a couple of buddies growing up in high school that got in it with me. We all had dogs. Mine could tree coons, but you'd go hunting, you wouldn't tree a coon every night. He might run track and come back to your feet one night. He might get treed, so forth. So it kind of rocked on from there. Jimmy Phillips was a big mentor to me growing up hunting. He worked for UKC as a field rep then. He gave me this blue tick that was about 12 years old. She was deaf, and she barked more than anything you've ever heard in your life. She barked from the time you got her out of the kennel till you put her up. I mean, she barked. You didn't know when she was treed. And I remember hunting a youth hunt, and I minused out. I had about 400 minus. She ended up treating the only coon on that cast, but it was too late. I had been minused out. I realized I needed to find something else. So I remember summer of 98, I believe. I worked all summer. My granddad had a big land outfit, and I worked all summer. I told him, I said, look, I'm going to buy me a good dog at the end of the year. You just pay me at the end of the year. So I was thinking, well, shoot, I'll have $2,000 or $3,000 saved up. Well, at the end of the summer, my cousin was the same way. He was saving up for something I can't remember, but he said, all right, last day of summer, so I'm going to go ahead and pay y'all. I remember him paying us $300. And I was like, golly, all summer. And we probably didn't work 8 hours the whole summer. We played and probably caused more problems than we ever did right. But I remember looking on the internet and finding this dog, and a guy by the name of Terry Doctor, he brought her down here. She was a walker dog, and it was one of Lester Nance's last bred dogs that him and Trent and them had bred. And she was built like a mountain lion, just off game dog. I mean, she was built real good. And she was started. We started hunting her, got her going real good, started breaking away, started going to some hunts, getting these lessons. And I remember going down to Fowlestown, Georgia, to a club called Coon Bottom, and we had about 12 minutes left in the cast, and I ended up winning the cast, and I was hooked on the competition world ever since. I probably hunted, I'd say I probably hunted 30 casts, maybe 40 casts before I won my first cast. So it kind of rocked on from there. Me and my dad, we got a bunch of dogs. Throughout the years there, we pushed. I ended up winning a pretty good bit. I placed second in the Winter Classic in 2002 with her. Won the night champion or grand night champion portions of a lot of state hunts with her. We had a dog that we bought from there, Deep South's little hardwood buster. He'd tree coons behind dogs. I mean, you cut him loose and these dogs would be 600-700 yards, and old Buster would be 50-60 yards behind them, just popping coons like squirrels. Went on from there, done a little winter with him, and I think I got him in at St. Jude maybe one year up there. We started pushing a dog that Frank Johnson was going to push behind Slugger. He was the same cross as Slugger, just 2-year difference. He had one eye, and that kind of pushed Frank and them off for the breeding purposes. And I took charge. The guy down in Leesburg owned him, LeVan Kennedy, and we partnered up. I won just about anything a dog could win in UKC with him. We ended up, me and LeVan parted ways on partnership, and we bought him out. And we ran the Purina race, I think, in 2005. Ended up second in the Walker breed. Probably should have won it. Probably should have kept on going. We slowed down a little bit, just took a little break, and probably shouldn't have. But pushed him for a while, kind of got out for about 6 to 8 months, slowed down a little bit, just being a teenager, I guess, and fixing to be in my college years. And AKC started back hard, I think, in 2007, and we pushed junior. We won the national male race and won the Walker breed. And then I started running the plantation not long after that, and kind of put coon hunting aside and run these bird dogs for a little bit. And realized my heart and soul was in these coon dogs, and I started back hunting again hard, which I hunted through those years, but I started back hunting hard in 2012. Got hooked up. A buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey man, I got this guy that lives beside me that they're good people. They want their dog pushed up and down the road." And I told them I knew the man. They had the dog, and they've got the dog. They're just needing a handler. And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess so." So I hunted a male dog for them for a little bit, and he was okay. I mean, he made some trees. Their daughter could hunt him in any hunt and win anything in the world. She ended up winning the youth nationals in 2012, maybe 13, one of the years. But wasn't the type that you could push in these big hunts. So they said, "Well, we'll try this one." And I hunted her a little bit and did a little tweaking on her. I hunted her for about 2 or 3 weeks and did some changes and went to the Lone Star for our first little deal. And I think I got in 2 nights. I won my cast every night I was there and got a truck ticket, and I was back hunting PKC pretty hard from there. And it just started from there. I've been going to these hunts for about 11, 12 years pretty hard. We hunted Tammy. I think we won the state race in 13. I won the state championship in 13 with her. Doubled her up at the world finals that year, semifinals of the truck hunt. Just went all over with her. I mean, and it wasn't just me. I mean, anybody that put their hands on her seemed like they could win with her. I had a couple buddies that hunted her when I couldn't hunt her. They could win with her. They decided that they were going to take a break, and I kind of liked the little gig I had. So I worked a partnership kind of deal, getting just a handling job with Bill Rector, which owned Banker's Big Easy at the time, and partnering up with him and hunted. And we pushed easy and ended up winning a state race, I think in 15 maybe. And my wife learned everything from going with me, and she's like, "Look, this seems like this is the only way I'm going to see you, so I'm going to go with you." And she started hunting a little bit. My parents, on the weekends, my parents would keep her daughter, and my in-laws. She hit the road with me a little bit, and she had pretty good success. She ended up winning the state championship in 2015 with Tammy, and just kind of she won everywhere where she went. I mean, I guess she said she learned everything from me. So went on from there, and Bill decided he was ready for a break. We had bought a female, which at the time was Hardwood Ease from Buddy Deletry. She was a nice young dog. Took her to the Super Stakes and was disgusted. I think I won one cast with her, and I thought she was a overpowering 1-year-old. We had an offer from White or Ike buy her, and Bill called and told me, said, Brett, I just can't refuse it. I got to sell her. And I said, okay, I understand. So White ended up buying her, and I think he put her in some hunts, and I think they finished her to $1,000, and they might have won $300 with her in PKC at the time. And I really can't remember exactly what I was hunting in between there from selling her to getting her back. I think I was just hunting some of my own stuff then, not much, just hitting little small hunts here and there. And then, me and David Dizatel started hunting a little bit together, partnered up on some dogs, and I hunted them for a few years. David was good to me. All of them's been good to me. I mean, I can't complain about any of them. They've all treated me like family. They've been great aspects as a family to me, as father figures in life, and just everything. I couldn't say nothing bad about any of them. And I guess about a year after that, White had called, and he said, hey, this female's sitting here. I need some help. Christy wants her back. That'll give her something to hunt at the hunt. Can she come? I said, yeah. So she did. And then she started hunting a little bit. And I missed my old dog. I took her from her and took her to the World Hunt. And I told you wrong. I actually was hunting for Jarrett Corley at that time. David Dizatel was after the fact. But me and Jarrett had been hunting old Stylish Homer that Brandon Tony used to have. And then Jarrett was ready to sell, and we sold to BJ Goins and them at the time. And I told Brandon, I said, this dog is ready for the World Hunt. And that's the year he placed second at the World Hunt. I think he got him about 2 weeks from me. Just kind of hunted for the public, took a puff in here and there. And that's when the Dizatel thing started. And then once White started, they cut my job. So I told White, I said, look, if you want me to do this full time, I'm down if you're down. And we pushed this female for about 4 years, something like that, all over the country. I've done a lot. Most of her money's been nickel and dimed. I think she's got probably 23,000 lifetime. She's been good. She's been a family dog. She's been around since she was a baby. And me and White kind of parted ways for a little bit. He was cutting back and decided he was going to do his own little thing, so slowed down a little bit. And he got her back. I hunted a dog for him named Power Ranger, and done a lot of winning with him, and he got both of them back. And I started hunting. After that, I bought a dog. Me and Cliff Goodrich out of Louisiana bought a dog. I had been watching this dog around the house, and just he had all the talent in the world. He just didn't have the person behind him. The people that owned him were good people and knew what was going on, but they were hunting dogs for White at the time too, and they didn't know what they had. So I texted my buddy Tony Clay, and I told Tony, I said, you want to sell Hick? He said, why do you want this thing? I said, man, I'm asking you a question. He said, yeah, $1,500. I think he was 6 years old. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to come at your house today and I'm going to kit this dog. He said, all right. So I give him the money and I take the dog to the hunt the first night, and I think I win $400. And I sent Tony a message and I said, buddy, I'm just telling you, you're my friend, but this is the start of something, and you're going to see, I promise you. I know what you had over there. And I rocked on for 9 months, just hunting pro classics and smaller stuff around here, and won right at $9,200 with him. And he ended up dying on me. He had lung flukes, and I found him kind of non-responsive in the woods. We took him to Auburn, and he ended up dying. And me and Dizatel picked back up where we left off, and we bought a dog. After Hick died, I told him, I said, man, these dogs can cut the smaller stuff, but they're not going to be able to cut that higher level. We've got to find something. He said, well, find something. And as soon as he did, Scott Engel and them had shared a post. Shane Stevenson had a dog called Mojo's Danger for sale. And I called Shane and we worked it out. And I told my wife, she was working in Columbus on a job. I said, hey, I need you to go pick this dog up for me when you leave Columbus. It's not that far. Well, it was like 3.5 hours from there. I didn't want to tell her that. And she Googled it, and after she didn't have no choice but to say, yes, I'll go get the dog. So he didn't tell me it was 3.5 hours. I said, well, just go get my dog, please. So she brought him home, and I started hunting him. He was a coon trigger. Probably had more coons than anything I've ever hunted. Get struck good. Stayed on the ground a little more than I liked, but he had them coons. And hunted him for a good year and a half, 2 years. And Malcolm Raines, which is Ike's right-hand man, said, hey, I know you got these 2 dogs there. You've been interested in selling them. So I said, yeah. Well, yeah, I owned another dog named Ricky Bobby, and I'd done some winning with him. Dizatel owned half of him. And I said, yeah. He said, we really want you on the team, but we got to buy the dogs. I was like, well, I'll come, but I want my dogs to come. And he said, okay. So they bought the dogs, and we pushed them a little bit. And last May, Ike called me and said, hey, Marty's mad at Dan, and I don't know what to do with him. Do you want him? And I said, well, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I said, Marty just come off winning 22 or 23,000 with him at the Black Eyed Pea in Texas. And I think Marty won 6,000 or 7,000 more in Indiana a few months before. And I said, yeah, no questions about it. I want him. So he sent him and an English dog down here, which I had hunted with the English dog a few times before. And he told me just to pick whichever one, and whichever one I didn't want, let my buddy Tyler hunt. So kind of, I've always been favored to a black dog. I've always liked them. I used to hunt a dog for H.L. Myers for a little bit and a few hunts to get him qualified for the world every year and stuff when H.L.'s health got down. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the black dog, and gave Tyler the English dog. Well, Tyler thought he had a better dog. And at the time, I didn't know what I really had, but I just know that he had hit some big licks, and I hunted him. And the next month, I got him. I think I got a truck ticket in the month of June with him. We won over $1,100 that month, and he just makes things easy. You cut him loose. He's always kind of been mixed. He's going to get a coon treat to himself. He's a big first-in strike dog. Going to get a piece of yours after that, maybe a piece of yours after that, and then be by himself again and have another coon. He was just a winner. He's hard to beat. I had them coons, and I just have had real good success with him. A few hunts I've went to that I thought he was really ready for that I was just disappointed in, but I mean, you can't win them all. He won the black and tan breed last year. I think he's got right over 50,000 won. We got in the finals of the ACHA Little World Hunt this year. I just had real good success with him. He's been a winner since he's been here, and he's been good to this family. He's been good to me, and he's as close as that you could find to a walker dog, I believe, you'll ever find. He's got a lot of heart, and he's getting a little age on me. It's got me a little worried. So I told Ike we had to find another black dog. So we started looking.
Well, I'm going to jump in real quick because that's part of the reason why I reached out to you, is because most people know that I prefer a good black dog if you can find one out there. And I have a couple of females here in my kennel, and I've got some English dogs in my kennel. But, you know, I seen this Dan dog on Facebook and kind of on the PKC boards, and I thought, well, this guy would be a good guy to talk to. But leading up to Dan before Ike, predominantly these dogs have been walker dogs that you've been hunting, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to take a break right here, but when we come back, after we hear from our sponsors, I want you to talk about what it takes. What are you looking for to get that top tier dog out there? Because, you know, people that maybe don't hunt on that level don't quite understand what to look for. And, you know, maybe somebody's right there on the edge and they want to move to that level. Maybe that can help them give some ideas of what they need to be hunting for. Hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. Is your dog box starting to get wore? Maybe it's starting to get a little cracked like mine is. Maybe you've just been thinking about it's time to upgrade to a new box, but you've asked your buddies and you're just not real sure what direction to go in. Well, let me help you out here. Go check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication, custom dog boxes, and aluminum products on Facebook. You can check out all their custom work they do there and their designs that they do. If you don't see something that you don't exactly like there, reach out to Nathan at 540-810-5439, 540-810-5439, or send him a message through the Facebook page. I bet he can fix you up. Don't wait till fall to get that new dog box. Go ahead, get that dog box now. Get you something looking good in the back of your truck that you can be proud of and that you can haul your dog around in comfort. Check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication. You won't go wrong. Dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Get yours today. CZ Welding and Fabrication. Okay, we're back. Brett, won't you go ahead and tell us what you're looking for when you're looking for that top tier dog to push in these big hunts?
The main thing I start looking for is heart, drive, their coon treeing abilities. I want them to be able to tree any kind of coon they can. I mean, whatever they come to, let's tree it. Let's do it quick, fast, and in a hurry. I like a dog to get open pretty quick. The main thing, have them coons. I've hunted some dogs that my theory is if you can't get treed, you can't win. These trailing dogs are a lot more accurate. They're going to have coons, but I like my action-packed dogs at the end of the day. You can win with either one of them. The main thing I see is doing your homework and make sure you're prepared to go wherever you're going to go, and make sure your dog's got plenty of rest after you've done your homework. A lot of people, I mean, dogs are different. I've had dogs here that you've got to hunt 7 nights a week and go straight to a hunt. And I've got dogs that you hunt 2 or 3 weeks hard, getting ready, and you give them 3 or 4 days off before you go. Just all dogs are different, man. But the main thing I really look for is heart. They ain't got heart, they ain't got much to me. I mean, they've got to have a lot of heart and desire and drive for me.
Yeah, well, I can definitely see that because early rounds, late rounds, they've got to go. So what kind of dog do you like? You like a dog that gets by themselves, stay by themselves, or a dog like Dan that'll get by itself and then maybe get a piece of another one? Or do you like a dog when you unhook him, they are in there deep, before they ever get on a coon?
I like one to stay to itself, tree his coons. This the whole deal with Dan about getting with the other dogs a little bit. I've started to like it because no matter what you do, you're always in that game. It's either going to be good or bad. I mean, you're always in the game, though. I've become, over the last year, I've kind of looked past the covering a little bit, and I really like the more action-packed deal than more of a loner, which now that he's getting a little age and he's been pushed for a year, he's getting a lot more independent. And, I mean, he has a lot more coons when he stays to himself, but at the end of the day, those dogs that they get a coon treed pretty quick and get a piece of yours and a piece of yours and be by themselves again, they're tough to beat. They're winners. I mean, that's just, there ain't much to say about it. They're hard at the end of the day. When you look back, no matter how many times they cover, if they're treating a coon or two by themselves, they're the ones that are hard to beat. The people are going to say, man, you just can't hardly beat this dog. And so I've got accustomed to both ways. I really don't have a preference now, I don't guess.
Yeah, well, I've not handled any dogs on the level that you have and some other people have for sure, but I like mine a certain way, and mainly probably because if there wasn't a competition hunt tomorrow, I'm still going to go coon hunting tomorrow night, whether there is or not. So I want to be able to enjoy that dog while I'm out there. And I know I've talked to some friends of mine that's got some dead loner, get in their deep dogs, and they tell me they're not very fun to pleasure hunt because everybody's split up and you're here and there and everywhere. And I mean I've got one here at the house. She's getting some age on her, and she usually is in the pack on the first dump with the first tree, and then she tries to get off by herself, and then she may be back in on the second one. Kind of like what you talked about, Dan, and maybe that's an age thing. I don't know. I got her as she was older in life, but yeah, it's definitely a different world out there than what I was accustomed to hunting originally back years ago, for sure.
Right. When I grew up hunting, everything was together. I mean, you go to these hunts, you wouldn't see a dog together. I mean, you wouldn't see a dog by itself. You see them all together. And now you're gonna see more dead loners now than you than you did back then for sure. I think there was better dogs back then too, though. But there's some really good hounds out there now that are really tearing the circuit up, and most of them are dead loners. It's just whatever you prefer. But like I said, I've got accustomed to both ways now. So
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about up and down the road to these competition hunts and kind of all over the country, won't you talk about what goes into preparing you and your family and your work and kind of the successes and the strains of being on the road, running these big hunts?
all right, it's pretty tough. My daughter's 8 years old. She loved it just as much as I do, I think. And I don't get to take her as much as I want to down here in Georgia. These snakes in the summertime and school nights. She gets to go probably, I'd say, at least 3 or 4 times a month on the weekends or something when we're home and stuff. My wife recently took a job with PKC, working with Shane and Roger Dale, back in February full time, and it makes it a little bit easier. It's tough being away. You miss a lot of family functions. You miss a lot of friends stuff. You miss a lot of time away from your family, and it's hard at times. It's got its good and it's got its bad. I think I was gone from January 1st to, I'm gonna say, the first week in April. I think the weekend before the Super Stakes I was gone every weekend except one. I was fortunate enough I run a big landscaping outfit here in Albany that allows me to, in the wintertime, I kind of get to play. But it makes for long days and long nights. You come home from work and you want to spend time with your family. You eat supper. You still got to go out and clean dog kennels, do stuff around the yard, and do stuff around the house. And you hunt till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then you repeat. It puts a strain, on your marriage, on everything really. It can be a lot. It can be real stressful at times, but you get a good woman like I've got that loves you and supports everything you do. It makes a world of difference. I've been fortunate enough to have the support from my wife, my daughter, my in-laws, my parents, just my whole family that's kind of supported me through the whole deal of getting back to hunting pretty hard in these bigger hunts and being gone. And I couldn't thank them enough. Without them, I couldn't do what I dreamed of doing when I was a kid. It makes it tough. It makes it real tough.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely attest to that. I done some dog training whenever I was younger, and I live not too far from you, and I'm trying to get some puppies of my own up and going, and you kind of got to lay out there with them, and you got to have somebody here at the house that understands and supports what you're doing and the vision that you have going forward.
That's right. That's right. And I've been coon hunting since, like I said, 94, 96, and I've come to realize I don't think there's no better people in the world than a bunch of coon hunters. I've had some things. We had Hurricane Michael come through here in 18 or 19. People I was hunting for didn't hesitate. They were here helping. I had a few buddies that coon hunt from Alabama. Jamie Wynn. I mean, he was there the next day. He said, "Is everything good?" I said, "Man, we got a tree on the house, but other than that, everything's good, and I can't see my dog kennels." He said, "Well, I'll be there in a little bit. You need anything?" And he shows up with a cooler full of ice, drinks, anything you could imagine, and a chainsaw. And he said, "Let's go to work. We got to get your dogs back in these dog kennels." I mean, there's just no better people than a coon hunter. There really ain't. I see a time of need when people need stuff, we show up, and it means a lot. I've got friends all over the world that I think the world of, and I think it's a great sport to be a part of.
Well, I definitely will agree with that. As fierce competitors as we can be, when those snaps are unsnapped at night, when the rubber meets the road and a fellow hunter needs a hand, it seems like everybody shows up to help for sure.
That's right. That's right.
So, you said Dan's getting a little age on him there. Is he open to the public for breeding, or are y'all doing any breeding with him yet, or y'all?
We just started opening it up about 2 weeks ago. We ran a stud page ad. It'll be, I think, next month. It'll be an American Cooner and Coonhound Bloodlines, and I think we're just going to run every month for the next year. But that's what we're after. We're after a breeding program. See what he's going to throw. He's got, I think he's got one puppy on the ground, and we don't know where he's at or nothing. But we're fixing to start it wide open and see if we can't carbon copy what we got here.
Okay, while we're talking about that subject, won't you go ahead and kind of tell us what Dan is out of, so if people are not familiar, they kind of understand what he's out of.
Dan, man, you just put me on the spot there. I ain't no black dog man, but I'm just gonna give me a minute here and I'll find his pedigree and I'll tell you. He goes back to some Schnickner's blood, old blood jet. He goes back to on the top side. His daddy was. He goes back to all the smoking Jake and smoking crows, smoking timber and smoking Joe on the top side. On the bottom side, Hobo's Hoss and Kansas Junior and Black June. I've heard of a few of these dogs, but a few of these I haven't. So I'm not real familiar with the black and tan breed, like I said, but it's a lot of old stuff that you did read about back in the days.
Yeah, well, I thought I had remember seeing some Kansas stuff in his pedigree whenever I was looking at it, and Blaze Bowers, he doesn't live too terribly far from where I currently live now. I know he's has a big influence on those Kansas dogs for sure.
Right, right.
So, what's do you got something a black dog there in the pen that you think may be his replacement, or are you just kind of looking around for something, or do you have any plans for the future?
We're just kind of piddling right now, and I've actually was hunting Cowboy, Hot New Cowboy, the one Michael Ward hunted last year a little bit. Trying to give him a little break. I had been hunting him a little bit. I've been hunting. It's a good team, Melvin, while Dole was out for a little bit, and yeah, we're looking for a replacement. I've got two females here to breed, but nothing far as hunting wise. I've actually got a older. Well, she's not old. She's a younger female. I've got an older female here out of just some local stuff, and then I've got a younger female that goes back to Tennessee Fiddler, semen pup. So we're looking forward to breeding them. They both come in heat in July, so hopefully we're going to have two good litters in July, and kind of see where we can go from there. He, like I said, he is offered at stud right now. If anybody's interested, all they got to do is contact.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, we covered a wide range of time there, but previous to Dan, I know Dan just from looking has been really pushed hard into the PKC stuff. Had you always pushed that hard in PKC, or was you kind of mixed in both?
I grew up hunting UKC. Like I said, 2007, I started hunting AKC. I hunted maybe 4 hunts a year PKC up until then. I think I was a member in 2002. I hunted a little local club hunts there, and they had an added purse hunt in Moultrie, Georgia every year, and I'd go to it. But other than that, I really never hunted PKC hard until 2012. I had good success in UKC and AKC, and got to the age where money was good. Didn't have daddy paying the way, and figured it was a good way. If I could have the success in the PKC world that I had in the UKC and AKC world, then I'd do pretty good. And I think I've won probably around 82 or 83,000 since 2012. So working a full-time job and doing this kind of as a side gig, I think I've done pretty good. I've got a lot of accomplishments that I've got a lot of goals to make, got a lot of dreams. Like I said, I've got a lot of accomplishments, but I've got a lot of dreams to chase, and I'm going to chase them until I make them. So we're going to keep on rolling.
Well, you definitely got to have a vision for direction. That's for sure to keep pressing forward, and I think that's important for anybody out there. As a handler for somebody, do you prepare different when it's somebody else's dog versus your dog, or is there any differences in that?
No, I still hunt 5, 6 nights a week and prepare just like it was my dog. I mean, these guys that pay, they take care of you. They're like family. You treat them a special way. They treat you a special way. And I was raised, you do people right, and I do my part, and they do theirs, and it was just kind of the same preparation, whether it's mine or somebody else. I'm there to win, and just no difference.
Yeah, well, I usually ask anybody that handles dogs for somebody that question. Not really to put them on the spot, but I don't know, when I before I had my own business, when I worked for somebody, I probably worked harder, at trying to make their company succeed than I've had at mine for sure. Just trying to be respectful of theirs and being a good steward or something.
That's right. And I mean, these dogs are like children to us. I mean, they're all family dogs. My wife and kids play with them just about every day. So, I mean, either way, they're not mine or they're somebody else's. They're treated like family here. So,
well, before we get to the end here, do you have a good coon hunting story for us? Something funny or serious that's happened to you? Hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. I'm here today to tell you about one of our sponsors, Conkey's Outdoors. Whether you need a few dog collars or the whole setup, they can fix you up. They have a wide range of products from hound hunting to fishing. My friends over at Conkey's Outdoors can help you out. You can order online at conkeys.outdoors.com. Call them at 904-692-1568, 904-692-1568, or if you're in the Hastings, Florida area, go by and see them. Again, that's at conkeys.outdoors.com, because we support people who support our way of life.
Well, I've actually got two. One of them's kind of funny and the other one's kind of scary. But I guess about 4 years ago, we were hunting one night, me and Tony Clay and Justin Stokes. And Tony had sat down against this tree. Now, me and Stokes were, it's kind of an embankment, and we were standing up and we were talking, and dogs were boo-hooing. It's the middle of summertime. It was probably 90 degrees. It was hot. It was humid. It was July. And Justin says, don't move. I said, what do you mean? He said, look at Tony. Tony was sitting on about a 5.5-foot rattlesnake. His head was on one side and his tail was on the other. And I told Tony, I said, man, you can't move. I don't know what to do. And I've got a defibrillator in my heart. I got it put in when I was about 21. And I hate snakes, and that thing will go, I feel like it's going to go off every time I see one. But I told Tony, I said, man, pause. Don't do nothing. Let me think about this. So I sat there about 30 seconds. I said, man, I don't know but one thing to do, and that's just get up and run. And he got up, and that snake went one way. I think he stunned that snake when he sat down on him. It's a wonder he didn't get bit then. But he beat, and we finally killed that snake. And needless to say, I don't think I've ever sat on a log or on the ground in these swamps since. But to hear Tony tell that story would be pretty good, because I don't even know what could be running through his mind when he just knew he was sitting on this rattlesnake.
Well, I can tell you one thing I don't miss from southeast Alabama and southwest Georgia, and that right there is the rattlesnakes, because they are everywhere. And my defibrillator would have been going off for sure.
But there's always a lot more stories. You forget about them. They'll come back to you one day. You're sitting around somewhere and you remember them. But that's one that stood out with me from day one that I can remember. And I guess as a kid, me and a buddy of mine were hunting one time, and we seen this light in this field, and I said, let's go talk to him. And we didn't see the light no more. And I don't know, we were young. We probably had a little bit to drink then. But we never seen that light again. And all he was telling me is about this old woman that walks around the county with a lantern. So needless to say, I probably didn't go coon hunting for about 2 or 3 weeks, because I just thought this woman with that lantern walking around in these woods was where I hunted at. And then we got over that scare. But there's always stories. You'll hear them for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think if you spend any amount of time in the woods, daytime or nighttime, but especially nighttime, especially coon hunting, it seems to a lot of times draw a group of people in, because you don't have to, sit still, be quiet, don't move type thing. I think that really presents itself to bring about some stories and some serious ones and some funny ones too.
Right.
Well, Brett, before we sign off here, is there anybody that you want to thank or anything else you want to add there before we call it good? We've been at it for almost an hour.
Well, like I said, I want to thank you for having me, and hope that some people listen and can really realize and juggle what it takes in life to work a full-time job and go to these hunts and be supportive of your family. I like to thank my wife, my in-laws, my parents, Ike Rainey, Malcolm Raines, and just everybody being supportive. Couldn't ask for no better. So that's, like I said, thank you for having me, and maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're like me. We both kind of in the same line of work, and when the getting's good, you got to go. And I sure appreciate you cutting out a little time today to spend it with us here and talk about your success with coon hunting and some of the dogs you had. I really do appreciate it, and I want to thank you for doing that. And if you're listening and you enjoyed this out there, go over to Apple Podcast and leave us a review, or head over to Facebook or Instagram at the Coonhound Collective and leave us a comment. Until next time, we will see you then. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast, or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.